Hey guys, it's I'm Angel, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about one of the most fascinating fish in the ocean, the clownfish. So, most people know the clownfish from the movie Finding Nemo, but their real lives are even more interesting than in the movie. So, today we will learn about where clownfish live, how they survive in the wild, their unique social hierarchy, and one of the most amazing things about them, their ability to change from male to female. By the end of this video, you will understand why clownfish are considered one of nature's most incredible animals. So there are around 30 different species of clownfish. They live in warm tropical waters, and the clownfish has actually become famous because of Pixar's movie Finding Nemo. But unlike the movie, every clownfish begins life as a male. Their bright orange, black, and white, or even pink colors make them easy to recognize. And those colors can vary depending on the species. So the movie Finding Nemo actually inaccurately displays what the clownfish is like, and we will go into that later on in the video. So the clownfish lives in the warm tropical waters of the Indian and Pacific Oceans, including areas around Australia, Indonesia, Thailand, and the Philippines. So clownfish can spend almost their entire lives living among the sea anemones, which is a hard word to say. So they can spend their entire lives living among sea anemones on coral reefs. Wow! Anemone. I'm not editing this out, guys. It just sucks at saying anemone, apparently. So the coral reefs that they live on provide food, shelter, and protection from predators. And unlike many fish that travel long distances, clownfish usually stay in the same anemone for their entire lives. Hey, I said it right! That's surprising. I'm not gonna get it right again. So they rarely venture far away because leaving the protection of their anemone makes them much more vulnerable to predators. I said it right again! Yes! So there are many different types of clownfish, and although many people think all of them look the same, there are about 30 different species. Some of the well-known species include the ocellaris clownfish, also called the false clownfish, the percula clownfish, Clark's clownfish, the tomato clownfish, and the maroon clownfish. They differ in size, color, stripe patterns, and personality. Some species are peaceful, while others can be surprisingly aggressive when protecting their home. So there's also many different colors of clownfish, such as red, orange, yellow, black, brown, just a lot of different colors. But one of my favorite things to talk about is clownfish and sea anemones. So one of the most interesting things about them is the relationship. And sea anemones have tentacles filled with stinging cells that can harm most fish. However, clownfish have a special mucus coating on their skin that prevents them from being stung. This allows them to safely live among the tentacles. It allows them to safely live among the tentacles while predators stay away. The relationship between the clownfish and sea anemones is called mutualism, which means both organisms benefit. The clownfish receives protection from the predators and a safe place to lay their eggs in return. And the clownfish helps the sea anemone by keeping away debris, chasing away fish that might eat it, and providing nutrients through waste. This partnership has evolved over millions of years and helps both species survive. Clownfish live in a strict social hierarchy. At the top of the group is the largest and most dominant female. The next is the breeding male, who is the second largest fish. The remaining clownfish are smaller, non-breeding males arranged by size. Each fish knows its place in the hierarchy, and the smaller fish avoid challenging the larger fish. If they fight for dominance, it can lead to injury or even death. So maintaining the hierarchy keeps the peace within the group. Only the dominant female and breeding male reproduce. They lay hundreds of eggs on a flat rock near their sea anemone. The male fertilizes the eggs after they are laid, and clownfish usually breed every few weeks under the right conditions, allowing them to produce many offspring throughout the year. Unlike many fish species, clownfish actually provide parental care. Oh my gosh, I cannot talk. The male is responsible for guarding the eggs. He fans them with his fins regularly to provide them with oxygen and removes any damaged or infected eggs. This care continues until the eggs hatch, usually about 6 to 10 days. Once the baby clownfish hatch, they drift into the open ocean before eventually finding their own sea anemone. So one of the most fascinating facts about clownfish is that they are sequential hermaphrodites, specifically protandrous hermaphrodites. This means that every clownfish is born male, but they have the ability to become female later in life. If the dominant female dies or disappears, the breeding male changes into a female and becomes the new leader of the group. So yes, they can in fact change gender. So how do they change gender? So when the dominant female is gone, the social structure changes immediately. Without the dominant female suppressing the breeding male, hormonal changes begin immediately. Over the next several weeks, the breeding male body transforms. His reproductive organs change into female organs, allowing him to produce eggs instead of sperm. At the same time, the largest non-breeding male moves up and becomes the new breeding male. So why is changing gender beneficial? So changing gender gives a clownfish a huge survival advantage. Since finding a new mate on a coral reef can be difficult and dangerous, the group can continue reproducing without waiting for another female to arrive. This allows the colony to remain stable and ensures the next generation of clownfish can continue. It also keeps the social hierarchy intact with very little disruption. So the science behind gender switching is incredibly fascinating. So scientists have discovered that social interactions can control this remarkable process. As long as the dominant female is present, chemicals and hormones suppress the breeding male's ability to become female. When she disappears, the male hormones such as androgens begin to decrease, while female hormones increase. These hormonal changes activate genes that transform the reproductive system, making the male capable of producing eggs. It's an incredible example of how behavior and biology work together. So unfortunately, these guys do face conservation threats. Despite being popular and widespread, climate change is damaging coral reefs through coral bleaching, which destroys the habitat which the clownfish and sea anemones live in. Pollution, plastic waste, and overcollection for the aquarium trade also reduce wild populations. Protecting coral reef ecosystems is essential for the future of clownfish. So how can we help? There are many ways that we can help protect clownfish and coral reefs. We can reduce plastic pollution, support sustainable aquarium practices, conserve energy to help reduce climate change, and support organizations that protect coral reefs. Even small actions can make a difference. So in conclusion, clownfish are much more than the Finding Nemo movie. They have fascinating social hierarchies, unique partnerships with sea anemones, and the incredible ability to change gender when needed. Their adaptations help them survive in challenging environments and remind us how diverse and amazing life in the ocean truly is. So in the movie Finding Nemo, what really should have happened when Coral died is Marlin should have become a female and just proceeded to lay more eggs and forget about Nemo. But obviously, that doesn't work for a Disney movie or a kids movie in general, because the kids would constantly be saying, "What happened to Nemo? Is Nemo okay?" So clearly they had to change some things around for a kids movie. Anyways, that's all for today's video, guys. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye!